Daniel needs this more than you do, Emma, my mother said, her voice carrying that familiar tone of dismissal I'd grown up with. You understand, don't you? He's had such a difficult life before joining our family. I stood in my parents' living room, staring at the document they just handed me. The inheritance from my grandmother's estate. Everything from her Victorian mansion to her substantial savings had been signed over to my adopted brother Daniel. Besides, my father added, not looking up from his newspaper, you're doing fine with your teaching job. Daniel's still trying to find his path. At 29, I'd spent my entire life hearing similar justifications. Daniel had joined our family when I was 12 and he was 10. From that day forward, every decision, every family resource, every ounce of attention had been directed toward making him feel secure and loved. A noble goal, perhaps, but one that came at the cost of slowly erasing me from the family portrait. Did you even read Grandma Rose's will? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. She was very specific about how she wanted her estate distributed. My mother waved her hand dismissively. Your grandmother would have understood. She always put family first. Family first. The words echoed in my head, bitter and hollow. Yes, Grandma Rose had always put family first, but her definition of family went deeper than mere legalities. She was the only one who saw how I disappeared piece by piece in the shadow of my parents' devotion to Daniel. I thought about the afternoons I'd spent with her in her garden, learning the names of every flower, every herb, every tree. She taught me about the land that had been in our family for generations, the secrets hidden in every corner of the old Victorian house. Daniel had never shown any interest in these things, preferring to stay inside playing video games while my parents praised his every minor achievement. Well, I said, carefully folding the document and placing it on the coffee table. I hope you thought this through carefully. My mother's eyes narrowed slightly. What do you mean by that? Nothing, I replied, picking up my bag. I should get going. Papers to grade. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. Hey sis, heard about the inheritance. No hard feelings, right? You know I've always loved that house. Loved that house? He visited maybe 3 times in the past 5 years and never stayed longer than an hour. He didn't know about the hidden door in a library that led to Grandma's secret reading nook, or the ancient oak in the back garden that held generations of family secrets carved into its bark. He didn't know anything about the true value of what he'd just been handed. But I did. And more importantly, I had something they didn't know about. 3 days before she passed away, Grandma Rose had called me to her bedside. Her hands, still elegant despite her age, had pressed a sealed envelope into mine. Don't open this until they read the will, she'd whispered, her blue eyes sharp and clear. Promise me, Emma. I promised, tucking the envelope into my journal for safekeeping. Now, sitting in my small apartment that evening, I finally broke the seal. Inside was a letter, written in my grandmother's distinctive handwriting, and a small antique key I recognized from her jewelry box. My dearest Emma, the letter began, if you're reading this, then everything has happened as I feared it might. Your parents, despite their good intentions, have once again chosen to overlook the true meaning of inheritance. I read the letter 3 times, my hands shaking more with each reading. The key, she explained, opened more than just a locked drawer or a jewelry box. It was the key to understanding our family's real legacy, one that went far beyond the material wealth my parents had so casually redistributed. The true inheritance, she wrote, has always been meant for the one who understands the heart of our family's history. You, my dear Emma, are the only one who has taken the time to learn our stories, to care for our traditions, to love the land as I have. What awaits you in the old oak's heart will prove that some legacies can't be given away by those who don't understand their value. I held the key up to the light, watching it glint with possibilities. Tomorrow was Saturday, no classes to teach, no papers to grade. I could drive out to the house early, before Daniel or my parents decided to start making changes. Grandma Rose had taught me that timing was everything, whether in planting gardens or revealing truths. The time had come to uncover what she'd really left behind, and why she'd been so certain it would find its way to the right heir. I slipped the key onto my grandmother's old silver chain and fastened it around my neck. Let them have the house for now. The true inheritance, I suspected, was something far more precious than brick and mortar. And I was the only one who knew where to find it. The Victorian mansion loomed before me in the early morning light, its weathered brick and intricate woodwork telling stories only I could read. I parked my car at the far end of the circular driveway, away from the front windows. Even at this hour, I couldn't risk my parents making a surprise visit and spotting my car. The key felt warm against my skin as I made my way around to the garden gate. Years of helping Grandma Rose tend to her beloved plants had taught me how to oil the hinges just right. It opened silently, welcoming me home like an old friend. The morning dew soaked through my shoes as I crossed the garden, heading straight for the ancient oak tree. Its massive trunk bore the marks of generations, initials carved by love-struck teenagers, height marks of children long grown, and secret symbols whose meanings only Grandma Rose and I had known. The heart of the oak, I murmured, running my fingers along the rough bark. What were you trying to tell me, Grandma? A text message buzzed in my pocket, making me jump. It was from Daniel. Hey, bringing some contractors by the house today. Thinking of modernizing a bit. That old wallpaper's got to go. My heart clenched. The wallpaper he so casually dismissed was hand-painted, imported from France by our great-great-grandmother. Each panel told a piece of our family's history, if you knew how to read it. But I couldn't think about that now. I had to focus on the task at hand. I circled the oak tree slowly, remembering all the stories Grandma Rose had told me about it. This tree had survived storms, lightning strikes, and multiple attempts by various family members to cut it down. The oak protects its own, she used to say, with that knowing smile of hers. Then I saw it, a pattern in the bark that didn't quite match the rest. It looked natural unless you knew exactly what to look for. Near the base of the trunk, partially hidden by a cluster of ferns Grandma had planted, was a small, weathered metal plate. My hands trembled as I brushed aside the ferns. The plate was bronze, green with age, and in its center was a keyhole that looked exactly the right size for the antique key hanging around my neck. Another text buzzed, Mom and Dad are coming too. Dad's talking about turning the library into a home theater. Cool, right? I ignored it, focusing instead on fitting the key into the lock. It turned with a soft click that seemed to echo through the garden. The metal plate swung open like a tiny door, revealing a hollow space within the massive trunk. Inside was a leather-bound book, its pages yellow with age, and a small wooden box. I carefully removed both items, settling down at the base of the tree, in the same spot where Grandma Rose used to tell me stories on summer afternoons. The book was a journal, its pages filled with handwriting I recognized as my grandmother's. My dearest Emma, began the first entry, dated just 2 years ago. If you're reading this, you've proven once again that you are the true keeper of our family's legacy. What I'm about to share with you has been passed down through generations, always to the one who understands that our real inheritance isn't in buildings or bank accounts, but in the stories and secrets we preserve. I opened the wooden box next. Inside, nestled in faded velvet, was an old-fashioned signet ring bearing our family crest. I'd seen Grandma Rose wear it on special occasions, but I'd never known its significance. The journal explained everything. The ring wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was proof of ownership of our family's true legacy. Along with it came the deed to a property I'd never known existed, a small but pristine piece of land in the mountains, protected by old laws and family trusts that couldn't be broken or transferred without the ring. This land, Grandma Rose had written, has been our family's sanctuary for generations. While others fought over mansions and money, the ones who truly understood our heritage protected this place. It's where we've kept our most precious documents, our real treasures, and our most important secrets. Now it's your turn to be its guardian. My phone buzzed again. A photo this time. Daniel, Mom, and Dad standing in front of the house with a contractor. Starting renovations next week, the caption read. I slipped the ring onto my finger, surprised by how perfectly it fit. The morning sun caught the engraved crest, sending a glint of light across the garden. Let them have their renovations, their modern updates, their home theaters. They could strip away every bit of history from the Victorian mansion, trying to reshape it into something new and shiny and soulless. The true heart of our family's legacy was safe with me, just as Grandma Rose had planned. She'd known all along that sometimes the most valuable inheritance isn't what everyone else is fighting over. It's the quiet truth waiting to be discovered by the right person. I gathered the journal and box, carefully closing the oak's secret compartment. It was time to visit this mountain sanctuary and claim my real inheritance. The mountain property took my breath away. After a 2-hour drive following Grandma Rose's detailed directions from her journal, I found myself standing before a hidden valley that seemed untouched by time. A small stone cottage, weathered but well-maintained, sat nestled among ancient pine trees. A crystal-clear stream wound through the property, its gentle murmur a constant melody. Using the signet ring as a key, just as the journal had instructed, I opened the cottage door. The interior was simple but beautiful, with hand-carved furniture and shelves lined with leather-bound books. Everything was immaculately preserved, protected by our family's secret network of caretakers mentioned in Grandma's journal. As I explored, my phone kept buzzing with updates from home. Daniel had already started demolition on the Victorian Mansion's library. Mom sent photos of workers ripping out the antique wallpaper, while Dad proudly described their plans for a modern open-concept layout. Found some old books and papers in the attic, Daniel texted. Probably just junk, but letting the contractors clear it out. I smiled, running my fingers along the real treasure trove of family documents safely stored in the cottage's study. Grandma Rose had gradually moved everything of true historical value here over the years, leaving only the everyday items behind in the mansion. The afternoon sun streamed through the cottage windows as I settled into a comfortable window seat, one that reminded me of countless hours spent reading with Grandma Rose. I opened her journal to the final pages I hadn't had time to read before. "Emma, my darling girl," she'd written, "by now you've discovered our family's true sanctuary. But there's one more thing you need to know. Our family's strength has never come from excluding others, but from recognizing and nurturing the spirits that match our own." I barely finished reading when I heard a car approaching, an unusual sound in this secluded place. Through the window, I recognized my parents' car. My heart raced, but then I remembered Grandma's words about strength and took a deep breath. They emerged from the car looking confused and slightly embarrassed. Behind them came Daniel, his usual confidence notably absent. "How did you find me?" I asked, meeting them on the cottage's porch. "Grandma Rose's lawyer contacted us this morning," my mother said quietly. "He explained about the ring, this property, the true extent of her legacy." "Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened?" I asked simply. My father looked down at his shoes. "We found her other letters this morning, the ones she left in her desk. Letters about you, about how you spent time with her, learned from her, valued what she valued. We didn't see it before." "I didn't either," Daniel added, stepping forward. "I just saw the mansion as a status symbol, something to prove I finally made it. But reading those letters, seeing how much family history I was about to destroy," he shook his head. "I'm sorry, Emma." I studied their faces, seeing genuine regret and something else. Understanding, perhaps, of what they'd almost lost. "The mansion's renovations are canceled," my mother said. "The contractors are gone. We realize now that it's not just a house, it's our family's story. And you're the one who knows how to tell it." "Grandma Rose knew what she was doing," I said, touching the ring on my finger. "This place, the mansion, all of it, it's not about ownership, it's about stewardship, about preserving our family's real legacy." "Will you teach me?" Daniel asked suddenly. "About the family history, the stories, everything Grandma Rose taught you? I'd like to understand, really understand this time." I thought about Grandma's final words about strength coming from inclusion, not exclusion. "Yes," I said. "I'd like that." We spent the rest of the afternoon in the cottage, my parents and Daniel listening intently as I shared stories from Grandma's journal. Stories of our ancestors, of the land, of the values that had quietly shaped our family for generations. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows through the pine trees, my mother touched my hand. "The mansion is yours," she said. "It should have been all along. We'll make it legal tomorrow." I shook my head. "The mansion belongs to all of us. But this time, we'll honor its history while making new memories. Together." Daniel smiled, holding up an old family photograph he'd found in one of the cottage's albums. "Think you can teach me about this wallpaper everyone keeps talking about?" Looking at my family gathered in this sacred space, I felt Grandma Rose's presence more strongly than ever. She'd known that sometimes the greatest inheritances aren't things that can be bought or sold, but the moments when hearts finally open to understanding what truly matters. "Come on," I said, standing up. "Let's start with the story of how our great-great-grandmother smuggled that wallpaper out of France during a revolution. It's quite the tale." And in that moment, surrounded by the legacy of love and wisdom Grandma Rose had preserved, I knew that this sharing, this understanding, this coming together, was the greatest inheritance of all.